check it out. It works. Okay, I picked up this like little circle light that snaps onto your cell phone that I just didn't think would work. Oh, I like that better. Ah, it's not so bright. Wait. What do you think? That one's like yellow and white. Okay, so I said many times in my videos that most of them are on the fly, just like this. I'm driving and I'm reminded of a video that I wanted to do, or I had a conversation with somebody, or I did a mentor session and they asked some questions, some things came up. I'm like, I should do a video about that. Like, how many other people would want to know? So I'm going to title this something really weird. I'm going to title this Dating Daughters and Erections. And it's because there's conversations that are not being had. I've always felt that I've been pretty open with my kids, and I've tried to load them up with as much information as possible so they can navigate through life and make good choices, right? It's a commandment to multiply and replenish the earth. So we got to talk to our kids about sex. We have to talk to them about the intricacies of intimacy, how things work and why, and sometimes the what's, so that they can be successful in that arena and bringing beautiful children into the world. And let me tell you, as a grandma of a grandbaby that waved goodbye to me today and blew me a kiss, it doesn't get that much better right now in my book. So yeah, we want to teach them how to multiply and replenish the earth because we get to benefit from it too. So I had a conversation where I got to sit down with a therapist, a family therapist, who works for the LDS Church. He's also been a bishop, and he also was asked by the mission president, the temple president in the area that he lives in, to mentor other bishops in that area on how to talk to young men about masturbation. Those who are struggling with it, either they're already addicted to pornography and they're struggling with masturbating, or any various levels of it. So I had a ton of questions for him because it's really hard for me to get men to talk to me about this, and yet when I'm mentoring young men who want to move forward, who want to go on a mission, or just want to overcome this, I don't have a lot of information for them. And I've been gathering that, and it's actually making my book take a lot longer because I'm going to now do a whole chapter on that and on masturbating for both men and women, both male and females, and it's just taking a little bit longer. But Father's in charge, and he put me with this amazing man, and we had a great session. And he said something during that session that I find very applicable and I want to put out there. I want you guys to have this information. I feel like moms may need to have this conversation more than the men. I almost wanted to title this for moms and daughters, but my dad actually was the one that walked me through a lot of understanding how our bodies worked and how to make that be a successful experience. So it depends on which one of you is the most comfortable, and I've said that repeatedly, that whichever parent is more comfortable talking about it, while the other one I think should be there, be present, depending on your kid. So that, you know, that your child sees it, it's a team effort, and that neither one of you are uncomfortable discussing it. Whichever one really is okay putting out those words should do it. So here's the thing. Here's the crux of this particular video. It's common knowledge, and not even something that's really taboo, that young ladies are going to menstruate, right? That young ladies are going to get their periods, and that they're going to be preparing to become mothers. And that there's nothing they can do about it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen randomly. And every month their cycle could start at a time when they're not prepared. They could even be out on a date. They could be at a friend's house at a sleepover. They could be anywhere and they could start bleeding. And it's just something that's accepted in our general culture. It's just going to happen, and we try to help our daughters be prepared, teach them to keep, you know, feminine products on them so that when that does happen, they can at least have that. They may need to go home and still change, but either way, they have what they need. And I would think, and have taught my boys, that if they were ever out on a date or they were ever with a group of kids and a young lady who is currently menstruating needed to run home or needed to find a pad from somebody or accidentally had an accident, that they were to treat it with a lot of maturity and respect and not make that young lady feel embarrassed or ashamed or anything like that. Okay, but here's the thing. The young men's bodies are preparing as well. I don't like that light. There we go. The young men's bodies are preparing as well. And in a way that they have no control either. That can be just as random. Every night, their body, in a beautifully efficient way, is pumping oxygen and blood and nourishment to every tissue, including their penis, which means the information that I've come across is anywhere between every 90 minutes to every couple hours, they're getting an erection, as their body is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, now, this doesn't just happen at night. This can happen at any time of the day. The wind could blow from the south and a poor young man can get an erection. He's not even thinking anything wrong. And interestingly enough, there are some parents that have taught their young men, if you get an erection, well, you were doing something wrong. Not necessarily. No, it can just happen. And I've heard some of the young men who are more comfortable about it that I've personally worked with say, my gosh, Mama Hopkins, or, you know, I have various names that they'll call me. You know, it's like, oh, hey, did you smell something, buddy? What's up? Like, they have to joke about it because it can be so sudden. And to not make it a big deal or to make it more comfortable for them, they have to make a joke. So here's the part I want to put together. Moms and dads, whichever one of you is in the know, whichever one of you is comfortable with your daughter, our daughters need to know that this can happen to the young men, just like women's, their girls' periods can happen to them. They can be at the swimming pool, they could be taking a walk, they could be out riding a bike. I'm not talking about the kind of erections that happen when they're making out. Completely different subject, another video for sure. I am talking about just their bodies waking up, turning on, maturing, and being prepared to one day be fathers. Now, if your daughter is not comfortable with the fact that that could happen, she's not mature enough to be dating. And I mean that. That's something that you want to have a conversation with them about. It can't be taboo. It can't be weird. They can't scream. They can't be freaked out. They can't make the young man feel uncomfortable. And I have talked to couples who've been dating. I've talked to young men. I've talked to young women and gotten feedback from them and counseled with them and listened to their thoughts about the matter as well. And the young men are very much aware that that could happen and are very self-conscious about it and would value nothing more than a young woman who understood that as much as they are expected to understand the female cycle and just moved on. You don't need to draw any attention to it. You just continue to be normal and it fixes itself. It's nothing that stays permanently, and not make them feel, the young man feel ashamed. So, odd, new conversation for most people. Again, I have two daughters, 27 and 20 years old. We've not had this conversation until now, after I got to interview this bishop and find this out. But I wanted to get that out there. As you're preparing your daughters for the dating years, you need to let them know, and maybe even before then, because if they have a younger brother, then they may want to be aware of that too. I used to send my daughters sometimes in to go wake up my sons, and didn't realize until my father pointed out, Amber, sometimes young men wake up with what they call a peon or morning wood, and it might be uncomfortable for them to have a young woman go in the room and wake them up. Something else to think about too when your daughters are dating and maybe they want to surprise a boyfriend or a friend with a bunch of kids on their birthday, something to be aware of. They may not get out of bed right away, waiting for that to remedy itself. So, important conversation to be having. Please, if you have any questions, post them down here. Let's get some conversation going about that if you need to. Otherwise, I would also enjoy hearing how your daughters responded and how successful that conversation went and how you felt having it.